You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, and I'm really looking forward to today's Cabral House Call, where we're answering all of our community's questions that have come in over the past couple of weeks on everything from wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging. So really excited about these questions here today. Going to get right into them. And the first one today is coming in from Kerry. So Kerry's asking, please give me your thoughts on rice flour, looking for gluten-free options, was tempted to buy sprouted brown rice flour, but remembered that it's recommended to have rice sparingly due to its natural arsenic in it. Is this something I should limit or use at all? So it's a great question. I answered this way back on the Cabral Concept, but since I can't even find that episode myself, of course, I'm not going to ask you to go back and try to find it yourself either. So here's the thing. We have arsenic from the environment, typically coming from water, contaminated soil, but then that's the inorganic. We have the organic arsenic, which is found in certain foods, such as rice. So what I found is this, just through lab testing, if you're worried about arsenic, the best thing you can do is do also a hair tissue mineral analysis, or you can do the comprehensive thyroid test, which tests for arsenic as well. So that's a really great one to do. And what I would say is this. Now, when you're looking at a white rice, a basmati rice, or even some of the seed grains, such as a quinoa, millet, amaranth, or even a buckwheat, they're naturally low in arsenic. When you find some of the wholer grain ones, meaning like the brown rice or some of those from the US, those might be a little higher in arsenic, but it's an organic arsenic, which seems to be better processed and eliminated by the body. Again, we're more worried about the environmental contamination and getting that into our body than food-based. And I'm only saying that from the perspective that in all of the people that I do lab test, I don't see this becoming a very big issue. I might be more concerned with a 6-month-old getting a rice formula, rice like crispy type things and rice crackers and rice everything than I would for an adult who's eating it maybe once a day. And the reason is I also look towards the longest lived populations, especially in Asia, and they're eating a good amount of rice, sometimes at 2 or 3 meals per day. So what I would say is when in doubt, lab test to make sure if that's a toxicity for you. And the other is there are actually companies like, I believe it's called Lundberg, and there's another company called Lotus. Those two companies are lower in arsenic for their rice, and that's been tested. So those are great companies to look at. And then also in terms of a gluten-free powder or a baking powder, my top recommendation, and I posted this on Instagram before, is Bob's Red Mill organic gluten-free oat flour. My favorite one to cook with, you get all the benefits of oats coming from beneficial for cholesterol, beneficial for blood pressure, beneficial for gut health. So if you're someone that can handle oats, oat flour is my favorite to cook with without a doubt. On the weekends, I'll make my daughters and myself some gluten-free only oats. So no xanthan gum, no tapioca starch, and none of that extra stuff that gums up gluten-free recipes. And I'll make gluten-free waffles or gluten-free pancakes. And basically, I'm just using oat flour, and you get the whole recipe right on my Instagram account, which is just instagram.com/Stephen Cabral. And we use natural fruit on top. I mean, really great recipe. Healthy, really only healthy things are going into it. So check that out if you would like, and hopefully that answers your question. All right, next up is coming from Anonymous. Hi, Dr. Cabral. What is your take on fibroids? I performed a quick search for previous podcasts on the topics and didn't see any come up. I was diagnosed with 11 to 14 centimeter of fibroids on October 16th, which were symptomatic, pelvic pain, heavy periods, discomfort from working out. After visiting my gynecologist, I was told that I would need to have open myomectomy to have them removed, especially if I want to have children. I am 35 years old, African American, with no children, but plan to have children. Long story short, I opted to go the holistic route of shrinking the growths. I used Fibro Defense for uterine health, systemic enzymes, which I now take daily. I've increased my intake of raw green foods, wheatgrass shots. Symptoms seem to be getting worse, and I want to plan to have children with my fiance this year. I opted for minimally invasive myomectomy. Turns out I only had one 14 centimeter fibroid and only one very small one that was not removed. Do you know what really causes fibroids? Are they estrogen dependent? I stopped taking my birth control in December 2016 and have continued my enzyme intake with plant foods and supplementation. My hope is that this second growth doesn't result in another surgery. Many thanks. Okay, so to answer this question, let's first get into why fibroids are most likely developed in the first place. So most natural health, as well as most endocrine specialists, are leaning towards estrogen and estrogen dominance as the reason for the occurrence in fibroids in the first place. And the reason is this: when we're looking at younger women or we're looking at postmenopausal women, we're not seeing growth in fibroids. We're then taking this information and then basically extrapolating the data and looking at it and say, okay, well, when women seem to have highest level of estrogen, and being on birth control, like you just said, can raise levels of estrogen, that can cause fibroid formation. Well, then what can cause high levels of estrogen? That's a good question. So now we're looking at what, yes, being on birth control can cause fibroids without a doubt, but also can having higher levels of cortisol, which decreases then levels of progesterone. Because in my opinion, estrogen is typically okay when kept in check by progesterone. And so that's what we're looking at a lot of times in my practice is this higher levels of HPA axis dysfunction, which basically means higher levels of cortisol production, the body not being able to calm itself down. That can sometimes be from lower levels of magnesium. It can be from stressful life. It can be from mineral imbalances. There's many different reasons why. One of those big ones that I've seen in my practice as well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't let you know, is dysregulated blood sugar. So really important that we're keeping sugar out of the diet, that we're getting good 5 to 10 grams of fiber per meal minimum, ideally around 8 to 10 grams of fiber per meal. That's going to keep for that regulation of blood sugar as well. Good protein, carbs, fats at each meal. And just like you're doing, adding more of those green leafies in there. Really like that you said that you're taking systemic enzymes. I do highly recommend that. A couple things that seem to work as well are B vitamins. So taking something like our active B vitamin, just one capsule every morning with your daily nutritional support shake. Recommend that. Also recommend our daily fruit and vegetable blend, which is 22 organic fruits and vegetables in one powder. Another thing that does seem to help, anecdotally at least, is blackstrap molasses. So blackstrap molasses seems to help quite a number of women with fibroids. And just when I'm looking at it from someone that studies orthomolecular medicine, I'm like, okay, well, blackstrap molasses is actually very high in B vitamins, especially B6. It's high in magnesium. It's high in selenium. It's high in copper. It's high in manganese, and it's high in calcium. So, a lot of times the body needs more alkaline-based minerals, which is also why adding 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, Bragg's apple cider vinegar, to water first thing upon waking can be beneficial as well. So women are getting benefits from all of these different things, and I hope that that helps you as well. All right, our next question is from Fabienne. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Fabienne, again, I'm pretty bad with names, but hopefully I did an okay job there. She writes in, Dear Dr. Cabral, my name is Fabian, and I am reaching out to you all the way from Luxembourg, Europe. I've been listening to your podcast and would like to thank you for all the work that you do. I genuinely appreciate all the information you put out there. I'm currently doing a health coaching program with IIN. I believe in the value of nutrition and would love to go deeper in the area of holistic health and functional medicine. I do have a job at the moment, so enrolling at university abroad is not an option. Therefore, I would like to study with a distance learning program. My problem is that I find so many inspiringly and seemingly meaningful schools. It's a bit overwhelming to find out which one is best to choose. And again, if you want to see which ones that Fabian listed, happy to do that. That's going to be in the show notes. I'm just not going to read all of them today. So then she goes into, there's also quite a lot of German schools that offer online courses. And I remember you saying that you wish you had the opportunity to do some training in Germany. Maybe I should stick to one of those. I hope you can help me out. There's so much information out there that is a bit exhaustive and I don't know where to start. Okay, so let's get right to this. And again, so she was worried that maybe I couldn't answer, I wouldn't give away the names of schools. And that's certainly not my intention at all. My goal is to never put anyone down. I don't think that that's helpful for anyone. But I will always give credit to where credit is due. Okay, so right now in the United States, this is really within, I would say, the last 5 years, there's been a big push so that by the year, I believe it's 2020, that all naturopathic doctors in the United States have to come from one of the nationally accredited schools. And again, this has changed, but what they're looking for is one uniform form of study. A lot of naturopaths and traditional naturopaths don't agree with this. What I would say is simply that you're not going to be able to fight this, in my opinion. And it is what it is. Right or wrong, doesn't really matter. It's just the way it is. No, it's not a problem. But those schools are Bastyr University, which is probably the most well-known. They're in Seattle and San Diego. National University of Natural Medicine in Portland, Oregon, the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine Health Sciences in Phoenix, Arizona, the University of Bridgeport College of Natural Medicine in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and the National University of Health Sciences in Chicago, Illinois. Then there's also 2 in Canada called the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, and the other one, I believe it's pronounced Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So those schools, if you're looking to become a naturopathic doctor, I would say you really don't want to go with one of the other ones now, because although they were accredited in the past, they're not accredited in them now. So it just is what it is. Make your life easy. Go with one of those schools, and they're great schools. So to be honest, they're all great schools. Pick the one maybe that works best for you inside of the US or Canada. But also now let's get back to Fabian's question. You do not need to become a licensed naturopathic doctor to be able to help people, without a doubt. You will do just as much benefit. And again, I'm a naturopathic doctor, so I'm not trying to say that it's not great to become a naturopathic doctor. Love it. Great information, great study. But you can become a great holistic nutritionist. You can become a great holistic practitioner. And it does not have to be licensed. I have so many colleagues who are not doctors, but they are unbelievably self-educated and gone through certifications where they know just as much, if not more, than a lot of doctors. Because school has such a small amount to do with your education. And now I say that, and maybe you're saying, how is that possible? Because school is only 3 to 4 years of your life for doctoral-based work. And you graduate, and you're maybe 27, 28 years old if you go right from, or even younger if you go right from undergraduate school. I took a few years off and then I went back. But really, you read a couple hundred books. But what about those people who read a couple thousand books? Your education is going to go up the more that you do certifications, that you do more. And again, most naturopathic doctors that I know as well and health practitioners, we study at other schools. We study at more seminars. My postdoctoral work was with the Institute for Functional Medicine. That was just one. And that was a great place. So what I'm saying to you is, pick a form of medicine or nutrition, or like I talked about yesterday, ergonomic-based work or postural-based work. Get a certification in posture. When I got out of school, and even when I was in college, I became a certified personal trainer, a certified strength and conditioning specialist, a certified nutritional specialist. I became a yoga instructor. I became a certified golf conditioning specialist. I went through so many different specialty-based trainings because for me, I wanted the education. I wanted to learn. So what I would say to you, Fabian, is keep learning. Go through any school where you think you're going to get the education out of it. It's not about collecting certificates and pieces of paper. I didn't realize that until a couple of years ago when I started just to realize that the majority of the education I've gotten is from real world experience, mentoring under others, and reading thousands of books, which is never ending. You just keep accumulating knowledge. So yes, I would absolutely look at those schools in Germany, but look at any of them worldwide. There's a reason why I studied in India and Sri Lanka and Europe, the Netherlands. I studied in the US. It's because I wanted the world's education. I didn't want one school, one institute, one dogma. I wanted what everyone had to say. And because of that, I think I have a unique perspective that's able to help people. And that's why people may have seen a dozen specialists, and when they come to our practice, whether it's with me or they run a lab test online, I'm able to give them a protocol that pulls from every different type of medicine so that it's not mine to hold on to, it's not my dogma. It is my assimilation of all this information, which I can then give to the world, and you can do the same thing through your own education. I don't know if that's the question that you're looking for me to answer, but there's so many schools and certifications, I can't keep up with all the different ones. What I would say to you is, if it looks like something that would be applicable to you and it's your next area of study, good, because you know what? It's not going to be your last. Keep going with it. Okay, Sandra is up next. I have Hashimoto's disease and I've been told not to eat raw cruciferous vegetables. I also have a few nodules and a cyst, non-malignant, on my thyroid, so not to consume too much sugar, including fruit. My question is, will green powder be okay adding it to my morning shake? Okay, so Sandra, I think you've just been given or sold a bag of misinformation by someone well-intentioned, but by lumping everything together. So here's the thing. Some people do have to be worried about goitrogens. So the goitrogens is what you're talking about. So the things in some raw cruciferous vegetables then may cause an increase in a goiter or the swelling of the thyroid as well. So what I found in my practice is we get the thyroid well and we never have to worry about goiters or goitrogens in food. But having said that, I want to address your question and give you the top foods that have goitrogens in them. So for fruit, that would be Concord grapes, currants, figs, peaches, pears, plums, rhubarb, strawberries, and tangerines. And for vegetables, they would be broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cassava, cauliflower, collard greens, eggplant, kale, kohlrabi, leeks, mustard greens, okra, radishes, rapini, rutabagas, spinach, summer squash, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and turnips. And some nuts, beans, and seeds would be chocolate, cacao beans, green beans, lima beans, soybeans, canola, flax, hemp, millet, pumpkin, wheat, almonds, cashews, peanuts, pine nuts, and walnuts. So that's a lot, obviously, right? Well, here's the thing. You have to look at the thyroid as essentially a threshold. So sometimes when we eat too many of these things in their raw form, it can add up and cause an issue. But always my issue is, why is the thyroid not functioning in the first place? And this whole thing about not including fruit because you're worried about sugar is also unfounded, because what matters is not the sugar, but the spike in blood sugar. So you can eat fruit, especially berries such as blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and cherries. And since they're mainly skin, it has a lot of fiber. And that fiber, along with something like our daily nutritional support shake, which is that powder, that all-in-one, which also has fiber, slows the digestion of the sugar, and you don't get that spike in blood sugar, which means it's not going to affect that. So yes, you are correct to be concerned about sugar, no doubt about it. No processed food, definitely for the thyroid. We're staying away from wheat. We're staying away from dairy. No doubt about it. We're staying away from maybe chocolates. But what we want to do is we also want to have an IgG test probably performed, so with that at-home blood test. And then what I would be worried about is maybe raw vegetables such as raw kale, raw Brussels sprouts, raw broccoli, raw cauliflower. Those would be the ones that I'd be looking at. I haven't seen that with raw spinach. I haven't seen it with sweet potatoes. But again, you're cooking these things. And when you're cooking them, it's going to lower that goitrogenic effect. So I want you to cook those. Now, can you do a greens powder? In my opinion, I have seen zero correlation in my practice. Zero correlation with greens powder and then it leading to goiters or an increase in goitrogenic-based effects. And why? You're getting a micronized version. You're getting a version that's been juiced, so you're getting the juice from it, okay, which is going to be then lower in the goitrogenic-based effects. Easily assimilated and also most likely beneficial to your thyroid because of all the minerals that you're getting. Again, it's my opinion, is that I've only seen green powder help, like our daily fruit and vegetable blend. And the reason why I say that as well is that you're not getting a lot of any one thing. You're getting 22 organic fruits and vegetables, and you're getting a little of each one, which means if anyone has a negative effect, it's either counteracted or not going to be as large because it's not one major thing. Like if you're not just throwing in a handful or 2 handfuls of kale into your smoothie, that is when I would say, yes, let's not do that. But cooked kale, probably not too bad. So what I would say is let's not go overboard on the foods that I just recommended because there's plenty of other good foods to eat, but let's also get your thyroid healthy. I'm not sure if it's the right answer that you were looking for, but in my opinion, I have no problem with the daily fruit and vegetable blend, and I have no problem with cooked cruciferous vegetables because they're so beneficial for the body for detoxification as well. But also, again, with thyroid, look at your heavy metal levels. Look at the arsenic, the bromines, all of those things that could be in your blood with a comprehensive thyroid test, or the weight loss testing, which also looks at the adrenals and the thyroid. Both are really great to do, or even just a simple hair tissue mineral analysis as well. So hopefully that helps answer your question to get to the root cause, then not having to worry about as much about food. All right, Isabel is up last today. She's our last question. Hello, I have a question about Bacopa or Brahmi. I was wondering if you have any experiences using this herb, any possible side effects, and would you recommend it for its alleged brain benefit? Thank you so much, Isabel. Okay, so Brahmi is actually, Isabel, something that I worked with in depth, especially when I was on the island of Sri Lanka studying there, doing one of my internships for graduate school. And the name they use in Ayurveda, they do use Brahmi, but the scientific name that they use a lot of times is Bacopa, Bacopa. So Bacopa Moneri or Moneri, as it's pronounced. And what this does is it increases, so one of the big benefits is cognition. So being able to create or improve neural synapses in the brain, which is why it's being studied for dementia and any type of dementia-based diseases. It's also being looked at in terms of like boosting focus. And one of the ways that they may think that boosts focus is increasing blood flow. So it improves blood flow through the body as well as to the brain. But also it seems to have some adaptogenic effects, which means that it can reduce stress and anxiety, which will then also improve obviously cognitive function because it decreases cortisol. It may decrease cortisol. Again, that has to be studied more. And it has anti-inflammatory effects. So that's why it can help the immune system. It can help you breathe better. And it's right now, again, there's actually new studies being shown in terms of tremors or epilepsy. So holds a lot of promise. Typically, it's not used for more than 12 weeks at a time. I just want to let you know that's kind of one of the contraindications. Just as an herb, we're using it as a medicine. And so we'll just keep in mind that it can be a great anti-inflammatory, boost cognition, and that it also helps to improve low blood sugar, so hypoglycemia. So I would just say if you're someone with higher blood sugar, this might not be the product for you because it could actually increase blood sugar. So that is possible as well. And anyone with a like lowered heart rate already because of maybe some type of chronic fatigue or something like that, it might not be the best for you, potentially, only because it could also reduce that heart rate even further. So those are kind of some of the things that I would just like to bring to your attention. It's a great product, Bacopa or Brahmi, and it's been shown to really do great things for the brain and the body and reducing inflammation. And you can actually add it to meals. So it looks like almost like pea sprouts. That's what it looks like to me, like sunflower sprouts. If you've ever seen sprouted sunflowers, that's what it looks like. You can add it to a salad, things like that. You can use it as a dried herb on dishes as well. And then also for a therapeutic dose, where we use in functional medicine, or no, this isn't used really in functional medicine too much, but it's used in Ayurvedic medicine, you can use it in capsules. And there's a lot of great companies out there. I'll link up one where you can get Bacopa or Brahmi as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you everyone for tuning into today's Cabral concept, and we'll be back with another Cabral house call tomorrow, answering another 5, 6, or 7 of our community's questions. Take care, everyone. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.